I was sitting in my home office on a Thursday afternoon when a financial auditor I'd never met said something that changed my life. "Jay, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Did you authorize 614 trades in your accounts last year?" 614 trades. I hadn't authorized a single one. My best friend, the guy who stood next to me at my wedding, the guy whose daughter called me Uncle Jay, had been secretly churning my retirement accounts for 7 years. 3,000 unauthorized trades, $892,000 in hidden commissions, ripped straight out of my future. And when investigators dug deeper, they didn't just find my money gone. They found 11 more victims, all of them people I personally introduced to him. $4.2 million stolen. But let me start from the beginning. Quick thing before we dive in, if this story hooks you, smash that like button and subscribe. We drop new ones every single day. I'm posting this from a throwaway because the criminal case just wrapped sentencing last month, and my lawyer said I could finally talk about it publicly. I've been sitting on this for almost 2 years now, and I need to get it out. Some of you might even figure out who I'm talking about, and at this point, I genuinely do not care. I met Derek Vasquez fall semester of 2011 at the University of Maryland. I think it was the first week, maybe second. We were both in the business school, both slogging through accounting prerequisites, both from families where nobody had a 401k, let alone a brokerage account. We bonded over being the kids who didn't come from money, but wanted to understand it. While other freshmen were shotgunning natty lights, Derek and I were on Boggleheads forums at like 2 in the morning arguing about index fund expense ratios. Weird friendship, but it worked. After graduation, I went into software engineering. Derek went the finance route, got his Series 7, his Series 66, landed at a mid-size wealth management firm in Northern Virginia called Kepler Whitfield Associates. By 2016, he was a fully licensed financial advisor with his own book of clients, and honestly, I was proud of him. This kid from Hyattsville who used to eat ramen 4 nights a week, the Maruchan kind, not even the good stuff, was now wearing Ferragamo ties and talking about asset allocation models. So when he sat me down at a Panera Bread on Route 29 one afternoon in March of 2017, I want to say it was a Tuesday, but it might have been Wednesday, and pitched me on moving my retirement accounts to his management, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. He wasn't just some advisor. He was Derek, my best friend, the guy who stood next to me at my wedding, the guy whose daughter called me Uncle Jay. I moved everything over. My 401k rollover from my previous employer, about $187,000. My Roth IRA, another $42,000, and a taxable brokerage account I'd been building since 2014, roughly $91,000. Total assets under his management, $320,312. I remember that exact number because it was on the transfer confirmation email, and I screenshot it. Felt like a big deal at the time. For the first couple of years, everything seemed fine. Derek would send me quarterly reports. We'd meet for lunch every few months, usually this Vietnamese place near his office in Fairfax, and he'd walk me through performance. The returns weren't amazing, but they weren't terrible either. 6% one year, maybe 4% the next. He'd always have an explanation. Market volatility, sector rotation, rebalancing into defensive positions. I nodded along because this was Derek, and I trusted him more than I trusted myself with this stuff, which, looking back, was the whole problem. Here's the thing though, what I couldn't see, what nobody could see just looking at those polished quarterly summaries, was that behind every line item was an insane amount of activity. Derek was churning my accounts like a butter factory. We're talking hundreds of trades per year, buying and selling the same positions within weeks, moving money between funds that charged front-end loads of 4, 5, sometimes 5.75%. Every single trade generated a commission. Every single commission went partially into Derek's pocket. He wasn't managing my money. He was strip mining it. The discovery happened almost by accident. In September of 2023, my company got acquired. As part of the transition, I needed to consolidate financial accounts for a new benefits package. The HR team connected me with their preferred advisory firm for a courtesy portfolio review, basically a free audit. I almost didn't do it. I seriously almost just closed the email. I remember thinking, why bother? Derek handles everything. But my wife Sarah pushed me. She said it couldn't hurt to get a second opinion. Thank God for that woman. And that brings us to the moment I told you about at the start. Patricia Chen from Meridian Financial Group calling me that Thursday afternoon, October 12th, 2023. I had a Phillies game on mute in the background. She asked about those 614 trades, and I told her absolutely not. I hadn't authorized anything since the initial setup in 2017. Derek had discretionary authority, but I assumed that meant occasional rebalancing. Maybe a dozen trades a year. Maybe. She went quiet for what felt like forever. Then she said, "You need to pull your full transaction history going back to inception. Tonight. And you need to talk to a lawyer before you talk to anyone else, including your advisor." I stayed up until 3 in the morning that night pulling records from the online portal. Sarah was asleep. The house was dead quiet. Just me and this laptop screen scrolling through pages and pages of trades I never asked for. When I finally saw the raw data, the actual trade log, I thought I was going to be sick. Not like an expression. I mean, I actually got up and stood over the bathroom sink for a minute. In 2022 alone, there were 614 executed trades across my 3 accounts. In 2021, 589. Some positions were held for less than 11 days before being liquidated and replaced with something nearly identical but from a different fund family, each swap generating a new commission. I hired a forensic accountant named Martin Hess, $1,200 a day and worth every cent. It took him 3 weeks to map the full picture. Between March 2017 and September 2023, Derek had executed over 3,000 unauthorized trades in my accounts. The total commissions generated were $892,417. My actual portfolio, the one Derek always told me was doing fine, it had underperformed a simple target date index fund by over $260,000. A target date fund, the thing you pick and literally never touch. I sat with those numbers for about a week, barely slept, barely ate. My wife kept putting plates of food in front of me, and I'd just stare at them. Every memory I had of Derek, every barbecue, every birthday, every time he looked me in the eye and said, "Your money's in good hands, Jay," all of it just turned rotten. I don't even know what to call that feeling. It's not anger exactly. It's like finding out someone you thought was real was just playing a role. For 7 years, my first instinct was to drive to his office and throw those transaction logs on his desk, scream at him, demand answers. But Sarah talked me down, and Martin gave me the advice that changed everything. Don't confront him. File with FINRA. For those who don't know, FINRA is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. They are the ones who license brokers, and they have the power to investigate, fine, suspend, and permanently bar financial professionals. A FINRA complaint isn't a strongly worded letter. It ends careers. I filed on November 3rd, 2023, case number and everything. Martin helped me prepare the documentation package. 47 pages of transaction records, commission calculations, and a timeline showing the pattern of churning. I had never put together anything that thorough in my life, and I'm a software engineer who writes technical documentation for a living. Here's where it gets wild. And honestly, this is the part that still keeps me up some nights. FINRA assigned an investigator named Robert Ewan. Within 2 weeks of opening my case, Ewan called me and asked something I wasn't ready for. He said, "Mister, Harmon, are you aware of any other clients Mr. Vasquez may have sourced from personal relationships? I just sat there for a second. Because yeah, I was aware. I gave him names. Of course I did. Because Derek hadn't just taken me on as a client. Over the years, he'd recruited almost our entire friend group. Couple by couple, cookout by cookout. There was Mike and Danielle, who moved their accounts over in 2018. Tom and Rachel, 2019. Chris, who was a single guy with a fat tech salary. He went in around 2020. Our friend Priya, 2021. I could name 11 people off the top of my head. 11 people I basically vouched for Derek to. FINRA contacted every single one of them, and every single one had the same pattern. Excessive trading, unsuitable investments, hidden commissions, fund switching that was designed to generate loads, not returns. 11 other victims, people I introduced to Derek, people who trusted him because I vouched for him. That guilt is something I don't think ever fully goes away. The total damages across all 12 of us came to $4.2 million in restitution. $4.2 million. Derek's firm launched an internal investigation and terminated him on January 8, 2024. FINRA permanently revoked his licenses on March 15th. And then, because several of the trades involved wire transfers between accounts at different institutions, the Department of Justice got involved. Derek Vasquez was indicted on 14 counts of wire fraud in the Eastern District of Virginia on June 22, 2024. He tried to call me twice after the FINRA filing. I saw his name come up on my phone and just watched it ring. His wife Alina called Sarah once, crying, asking what was happening. Sarah told her she was sorry, but she should talk to a lawyer. I know some people in our circle thought I was cold for that, for not giving him a chance to explain. But explain what exactly? 3,000 trades, 892,000 in commissions. You don't accidentally do that for 7 years. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a business model. The sentencing came down last month, February 2026. Derek got 41 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay $4.2 million in restitution to all 12 victims. He'll be a convicted felon for the rest of his life. He can never work in finance again. As for the rest of us, the restitution process is ongoing. I've recovered about $163,000 so far through FINRA arbitration. Mike and Danielle got a partial settlement from Kepler Whitfield's insurance carrier. Tom and Rachel are still waiting. It's slow, and I don't think any of us will ever be fully made whole. You just kind of accept that at some point. Our friend group is basically done. Some people blame Derek, obviously. Some people blame me for bringing them in. I get it. Priya hasn't spoken to any of us since the investigation started. Chris told me last summer he had to push his retirement date back by 7 years because of what Derek did to his portfolio. 7 years. I keep coming back to that number. 7 years of someone's life. I moved all my money to Vanguard, target date index funds. No advisor, no discretionary authority. I check it once a quarter and otherwise don't touch it. It's the most boring financial setup imaginable, and I sleep great. Sometimes I think about the Derek I knew in college, the kid eating ramen in the dorm, talking about building something real. I wonder when he crossed that line. Was it gradual, like 1 year the commissions were a little too good and he just kept going? Or was there a specific day he sat down and decided the money was worth more than every friendship he had? I don't know. I'll probably never know. And honestly, I've stopped needing to. So let me ask you this. If you found out your closest friend had been stealing from you for 7 years, would you give them a chance to explain? Or would you do what I did and let the paperwork do the talking? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading every single one.